Karyn Alexander, and this is Jack Lazzaro. Together we host the No NDB Podcast, Tales from the Trailer. Thank you for joining us today. Like, share, and follow. On today's episode, we have a legend in hair. Her name is Bonnie Cleverling, and I've worked with her. Jack has even worked with her. Mm-hmm. She is someone who has been a personal to all the names.
All of the names. And when it's been a big tentpole movie, she's been handling the biggest of the names. I apparently we were on Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn.
Which is funny because I was there for a few minutes too. Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
It's an amazing story. We'll let her tell you some of the stories.
We won't go into any more detail.
Talk about food on this one, which I think you guys are all going to find a little entertaining and a little surprising.
Yes, bring your forks and knives to the No NDB Podcast. You are listening to the No NDB Podcast, Tales from the Trailer. I'm your host, Jack Lazzaro.
And I'm Karyn Alexander.
And this is Bonnie Cleverling.
How exciting. Hairdresser extraordinaire. I mean, if there's been an actress or an actor that's worked in the last, I don't want to out anyone's age, while Bonnie has touched them. Bonnie's been there. She is amazing. I've worked with her on a couple of different things. So I'm very excited to have you with us today and to hear your stories.
Oh, well, I'm glad to connect with you. It seems like every so many years we connect one way or another.
We have.
I know. And I was so thrilled the last time that you were department head. And
on Dumpling, when we all got to work together on Dumpling. That was really
in Georgia.
Fun. Yeah. Actually, I spoke with Lynette, who is my key on the show, and she said to send her love and to say hello to you.
Oh, and how is she? Okay?
She's doing amazing. She is doing so good right now, so very happy for her.
Okay, we'll give her my best.
She just became a grandmother for the second time. So.
Oh, wow. She's so young. I can't picture her as a grandmother.
I know, but she's loving it every minute of it.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
So, Bonnie, where we like to start off normally on the No NDB podcast is to ask, how did you get started in this business, and how did you fall in love with the business of film?
Well, my husband and I got married in Florida, and the day after we got married, we want to go to California, not thinking I would be a hairstylist, but we just drove Route 66 all the way to California with a couple of bucks in our pockets because neither one of us could afford or went to college. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, we go to California, and I'm planning to get my license, my California state beautician's license.
Were you already licensed in Florida?
Yeah, I was in Florida. Okay. Yeah. But because California had so many more hours that I had to, do other things. So anyway, I got my license, and I'm ready to go to work at a beauty salon. And we lived at the Equestrian Center in Burbank.
So
and
nice.
It was brand new, and my husband managed it. And there were a lot of studio people that were there. And there was a gaffer that worked on the Beverly Hillbillies. And he said, I want you to meet Carmen DeRigo, which your mother, Judy Corey, I'm sure knew Carmen DeRigo.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. And so I thought, every hairdresser's dream to do movie stars. He said, no, I think you ought to come meet. So I met Carmen, and after lunch, we went to the sound stage, and that's when they had the telephone, in the middle of the sound stage.
And she picked up the
Yes. and then the light would go on and then off, and the phone go on and off.
Yeah.
And
God, I remember that.
So Carmen called, was it Jean Burt Riley that was the head of 20th Century
I
Fox?
have no idea.
Okay. Well, anyway, she was the hairdresser there. And Carmen said, I just met a girl that I think could be a real asset to our business. And the next day I'm at Fox meeting her.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden, the union back then was Group 1, Group 2, and trainees. So like all the ones had to be working before the twos and all that. So little by little, they put me on some big productions that I just worked on extras. And I always stood next to the oldest looking hairdresser
To
because
learn.
I felt I could learn from her. And
That's
then
funny.
I just started training to take the test. And back then it was like an all-nighter, 3 nights in a row. And but at the time, Larry Germain
Hmm.
wanted an apprentice at Universal. So I went down to before this testing and everything.
Yeah.
I went down to the union and I waited 3 hours before they called my name. And when you walked in individually, there
Yeah.
was every department head at that long conference table. And they, just said, one of the main things is getting along with people because we know there's no way that you can know all the hair lace wigs
Yeah.
and period work and everything. So the next day, we knew Larry was looking for an apprenticeship, someone to do that. And he called me the next day on a Sunday. And I said, I'll have to think about it. And I refused the 2-year apprenticeship
Oh my gosh.
because I I wanted to, more than anything, I wanted to be a mom. I wanted to be a
Yeah.
housewife and a mom. And I knew if I did that, then I wouldn't be able to work on sets or anything, and hoping that I'd be able to work on sets. And so I refused it, and then uh, just start getting calls. Uh, Susie Germain got me started on What Did You Do with the War Daddy, and just working on extras, and that's kind of how it started.
So, were you ever in the studio system? Like, were you ever a hairdresser in the hair department at a studio? Like, when my mom started, she worked in the Universal Hair Department.
Okay, Mary Keats was the head of MGM. And so she's the one that would call the union and say, I want
Yeah.
this person,
Yeah.
that. Well, I just somehow or another got hooked up there.
And
And
so
then
that's
she
where you
put,
got your work.
yeah, and that's when she put me on The Girl from Uncle with uh, Stephanie Powers. And then I went right from there to do Elvis's movie at MGM with
What
Nancy
movie?
Sinatra, Speedway.
Okay, because my mom did clam bake. Isn't that
Oh,
funny?
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right around the same time.
So
And
you
it
did
just kind of went from there.
snowballed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yep.
we've interviewed a few people where they said they would start working in television and then go to film, and once they made that transition, they didn't go back. But looking over at least your IMDb, it seems like you
Did
had
film.
the ability to go a little bit back and forth and kind of do a TV series and then go do a feature and then back to a TV series, or is that just how it all
Yeah.
came?
Well, I think the first TV series, The Girl from Uncle. But
Okay.
then when I was at MGM, I like Betty Davis had a guest spot on A Taste of Thief with Robert Wagner. And it was back then for someone as big as Betty Davis to
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
television. But they were such good, RJ and she were such good buddies. And so I did her. And then there was another one at MGM where Cher came in and wanted her disguised. And so that long black hair, I put a blonde wig on her. So she was disguised in the scene. So I would jump on TV like that,
Yeah.
Dr.
Okay.
Kildare or those kind of things. But to do an entire series, The Girl from Uncle was the only one that I did an entire series.
So
Wow.
you didn't set out to be a studio hairdresser.
No,
And
no.
look at the
It's just
amazing
this,
life and
I know.
career. It's it's so funny because everyone that we've talked to, their start is a little bit different. Some of them are like, I grew up, I knew I was going to do this forever. And then there's the ones that are like, I fell right into it. That's so
Yeah,
amazing.
it was. And I really wasn't in it for a real long time in LA because
Okay.
then I had 2 babies and my husband had an opportunity in Indianapolis, and that's where my sister and family lived. So
Right.
even though I was raised in Illinois, I was a Midwest girl. So that's when we moved to Indiana, and I worked in a beauty shop in a department store and did that. And then my husband's work took us to Dallas. And that's when I found out that they were filming. And Texas had a great
Yeah.
incentive back then, and
Mm-hmm.
in what was that, the 80s, and
Yeah.
they were filming a lot of stuff
Yeah.
there. So I fell into,
Put your hat in the ring
doing,
and went
back
for it.
then was a lot of movie of the weeks too.
Yeah. The MOW raid.
Then Oliver Stone did Any Given Sunday. I mean, not Any Given Sunday. Born on the 4th of July, JFK, Heaven and Earth, and I was there, so I did Oliver's. And then years later, I even did Oliver's Any Given Sunday with Al
Yeah.
Pacino.
You know,
That wasn't the
And
first time you had worked with Al Pacino. When was the first time you worked with Al
the
Pacino?
first time was Insomnia. Well, no, Any
Mid-90s.
Given Sunday, and then Insomnia, because I had to. They flew me to Miami when the football players were rehearsing, and I met Al. He just like he had,
did her and Johnny ever cross paths? Johnny
Caglione.
Oh, Cagliostro. Yeah, we did Insomnia together.
We literally just got done filming a podcast with him.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we just 2 hours ago. We just finished. He was the one we did this morning. Yeah.
Oh, how's he?
He's doing great. He's
Doing
still
so
doing
great.
Al. I mean, he's still out there plugging away. He's doing good. He's doing really good.
I would love later, sometime give me his info. I'd love to get in touch with him.
Absolutely, we will reconnect.
Yeah.
You guys.
Oh, that'd be great.
It's so fun because it's a huge industry, but a very small world that we live in. We all seem to have this intertwined
I know.
life, because it is a small, big world in our
I think in
industry.
the past 10 years, it's kind of exploded with all the streaming and the whatnot. We get way more than just the 3 networks or the 5 studios.
I'm just talking about
Right.
the people in general. We
Yeah,
all
those
seem to be
crews.
crossing paths. But yes.
Oh, when I see the nominations for our union,
I know, I don't know anyone.
or even voting for officers,
My mom says
If-
the same thing.
does she?
Yeah, she's
She's
like, I don't
probably
know who
said-
any of these people. I don't know who these people are, and I'm like, I don't either, Mom. I hate to tell you, I don't either.
How many do we have now in our union? Don't we have a couple thousand? Or
in 706 or 798?
706.
Oh, I have no idea how many in 706 now. I can't even. I don't know
And
either one.
798 so much bigger because it encompasses everything from Louisiana,
The East Coast.
all the way up.
But I do think
Yeah.
706 is gotten huge comparatively to when, I mean, it was really small when I got into 706.
Right.
I'm sure it was really small when you got into 706. So there you are, you're in Dallas, you're doing all this stuff. And then
all of a sudden the kids were in college, and since I'd gotten the taste back,
Yeah.
of working in that, my husband and I decided to go back to LA. And
okay, so you ended up back in Los Angeles.
yeah. And then just a few years later, then he passed away.
Okay.
So he passed away at
Sorry for that.
55 years old.
Oh, very young.
And so I stayed in LA and then just started doing bigger things,
How
How
old
did-
were
how
the
did
kids
the-
at the time?
When he passed away,
Yeah.
college.
Okay.
Well,
So they
Jason
were-
was had gone to USC and was working at Fox. And then my daughter was doing her master's degree in Texas.
So
Oh,
both
wow.
of them did very well.
Yeah.
Great.
How did you become a personal? Or did you always do personal work? Or did you ever? Were you
No,
department
no.
heading? Were you doing? Or
I tell you, I think when I started, I did Out of Sight with Jennifer Lopez,
Mm-hmm.
and that was kind of the first. And then I had been working with Steven Soderbergh, and
Yes.
then I got a call one day because I knew the crew knew that Steven was going to be doing Aaron Brockovich, so I was going to department head Aaron Brockovich, and I get a call, and when we're filming whatever it was, not Out of Sight, because Out of Sight was already out, but anyway, I get a call, and this girl says, who did you do on Out of Sight? And I said, Jennifer Lopez. And I said, who are you? She said, well, I'm representing a client of mine, an actress. And I said, who's your actress? He said, Julia Roberts. So I think what it was, Julia saw what I did with Jennifer, and she was looking for a new hairdresser.
Uh-huh.
And so instead of department heading, I went on Aaron Brockovich to do just Julia. And then that started, and then you know how the business is a little bit like,
Once you get
well,
one,
who did?
yeah.
Yeah, okay, I did Jenna first, and now I'm doing Julia. And then all of a sudden, Hillary Swank, well, I met when I was doing Pacino on Insomnia, and Hillary and I just hit it off. We were
She's
buddies,
lovely. I've worked with Hillary once too. She's lovely. She's fun.
isn't she?
Makes
So
you
then I
laugh.
just started doing personals with
Yeah.
her.
How
And then, let's see,
your relationship with
Chris,
Julia though has continued
yeah, in
through
fact, I
all
got a
of it.
beautiful text from her today. And, and I've just really kept it in Zoe
Yeah.
Deschanel,
Yeah.
Hillary.
I know
Yeah,
that Zoe loves you. I just worked with Zoe too. We
I
had that
know, and
conversation.
she loves you too. I'm so glad that worked out for the two of you. That worked out great.
Yeah,
But
it's
just little by little, it's like one hears one thing and one hears another. And
mhm.
then, like you, known for your wig work, your lace wigs, and
Yeah.
how we know how intricate. Not everyone
Yeah.
can
Do
do
that.
the job that you do, and I do. And so I get a call from a producer that I had worked with. In fact, I was working with him when my husband passed away in LA. And he called and he said, we're doing Eclipse with Kristen Stewart, and we've been
Mhm.
filming. And Kristen had uh, told them before that in between the Twilight series, she was going to do the Joe Jett story
Yeah.
and cut her hair and dye it black. So they built a wig for her and everything, but for some reason, as they were filming, it just they weren't satisfied with the look.
Yeah.
So they, I guess, knew like
They
you
brought you
knew we
on because
did.
of your expertise.
Yeah, and the first thing I said, because I'd already worked in Vancouver a couple times,
Yeah.
I said, "How does the department feel about me coming in?"
That's hard.
And so they said, "Well, we told them who it was," and they said, "Oh, great." And
Yeah.
I don't know if it was because it was me or because it took the pressure off of them with the wig
You
too.
have an incredible reputation in this industry of being kind and generous and talented and giving.
Oh,
There is nobody that wouldn't want you in their
oh,
department or
bless your
could work
heart.
with you. Oh, are you kidding? I just was like, when you were coming in on Dumpling, I was like, yes, I love Bonnie. She's
Yeah,
so
I
wonderful.
know. Well, you saved my butt a couple times when I needed a little help. Yeah,
Well,
and
we all help
but
each other out.
I know.
Your career though, you've done so much, and for it's amazing that a lot of it started after your kids were grown a little bit, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you
Oh,
started
yeah.
a little bit, I don't want to say later, but you
Oh,
weren't.
I
Yeah.
actually wanted to talk with you about this. So when you're in Texas and you're raising
Okay.
your young kids and you're wanting to be, you've left LA, you're out in Texas, you're riding the Oliver Stone train, but you're also doing little art house films that were so important in my development, like True Stories. The
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what a great film that is. And for people at home, that's Peter Byrne, John Goodman, and it's kind of a slice of life of all different types of people in Texas. And the lead singer from the Talking Heads gets to narrate and
Oh,
lip sync his
yeah.
way through that. So, how was that experience being
Oh,
in that time?
well, but the true story thing, when the crew got the script, we called each other and we like, tell me more about it. Well, no, I was going to ask you more about it. It was such a crazy, thing, but so creative and fun. And
It was very different for the time, wasn't it?
oh yeah, yeah. David Byrne is, in fact, I've seen him since that years later, and yeah, and that was just interesting. Just an interesting project. But it was just fun for me to go back, and I'll never forget the first time I went back because I hadn't worked on a film for a long time, and I didn't know about caterers and craft service or anything.
Because things have changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So I pack a lunch and I tell my husband the first day I go to work, I said, I don't know what they do, so I'm going to pack a lunch. And so I packed the lunch, and then I saw all this food in the hallway of the school that we were filming at. And I'm thinking, oh, I didn't need to bring lunch. This is lunch. Well, then they take a break for lunch. And then I see the caterer. And I think,
You're like,
oh my gosh.
jackpot.
And then at the end of the week, I look at my paycheck and I said to the makeup man, I said, what is this $25 a day? And he said, that's for box rental. I said, what's box rental? He said, it's the equipment that I brought, my combs and brushes.
Our kits.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is good. This is life is
Yeah.
good.
Oh
Good
boy,
stuff.
this is different than
Schlepping through a beauty
the
salon.
60s in LA.
It makes me sad that some people still get the $25 kit rental even to this day.
Oh,
So,
Well, very few.
very few, probably.
Most get more now, Jack. There is
Yes.
a limit. But
Oh.
we won't go into that. It sounds like you fell into something, but you obviously had the aptitude to do it. You are known for wig work and everything else. Where did you learn that? Where did you get your training with wigs and things like that? Is it
A
just
lot of
standing
my
next to the oldest people in the background?
Well, but I think Mary Keats taught me a lot. And I
Okay.
remember how all the actors would come in the makeup room.
Yeah.
The day. So, I mean, there was Kim Novak, there was Doris Day, and and just watching them come in. So one time I went to put a wig on someone, and Mary was a tough cookie, and she came over, and she said, how in the hell do you think this is going to be comfortable all day? She took it apart and everything. I came home that night and I said to my husband, I just don't think I'm cut out for the business.
oh.
I was just a wreck. But she taught me. I mean, that's how I learned.
I learned. That's how you learn.
Yeah.
And there's again, this is something we talked to Johnny about. There's an eye to it. There's a seeing to it. There's a way when you put wigs and stuff on to make them realistic, and you can put on a wig. You can put on a $30,000 wig and it can look like trash.
Yeah.
And you can put on a $15 wig and it can be amazing. It has to do with the person putting the wig on. It has to do with the eye. It has to do with how they style it and handle it and touch it. And and it is I think a little bit of a dying art, unfortunately, in our part of the industry.
I bet it is. Yeah.
There's not a lot of people that can do really good wig work anymore. I don't know. That's maybe I'm just being that old McGudgeon.
Well, but I think now you and I, we see things. Of course, I'm much older than you, but we see things and we know it's a wig. And I don't think it's because we ourselves professionally know. I've had friends say, "Oh, that was a bad wig," or
I have people that say you should watch this, but don't look at the wig. I say that to my mom all the time. I'm like, I want you to watch this movie. I know the wig is bad. Just ignore the wig, because my mom a mile away, she's like, ugh, and I'm like, stop. But I think that you could be taught. A lot of people were taught, but you all obviously had the way of putting it on and dealing with your actresses and making them comfortable and just knowing how to fit it into their face and everything else and the character work that went with all of that. I mean, there is a talent to that, and you should be very
well.
proud of that.
I think there's just that energy, because I remember Barbara Hershey always wore wigs,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember she was having problems, and they called me in, and she said to me a couple of days later, she said, "The minute you touched my head,
Mm-hmm.
I knew you knew what you were doing," and I thought that was one of the best compliments.
It is.
That I'd gotten.
That is
But-
God's honest truth right there. That is the best compliment to have.
the
That
confidence to
the
know.
touch of your hand put me at ease
Yeah.
is spectacular.
Yep.
Because a lot of people are afraid of wigs.
Yeah, they are. Oh, because they don't.
Yeah.
We did
not
too at the
comfortable.
beginning.
I always, I always feel very comfortable with wigs in some ways. I think it's because I grew up handling them. Do you know what I mean? Like I saw my mom handle them from an early age.
Oh, well, you had a good teacher.
Right. So, I mean, like they're not as fragile as one would think. They're not, you got to be careful in some places, not in others. But I do think that it is an art, and you have done beautiful work throughout your career.
Thanks.
So you
Karyn.
continue on as a personal for quite a while, right? I mean, do you ever go back to department head, or do you stay personal for the rest of your career?
Well, I tell you what, there's some shows that ended up budget-wise.
A department head.
They would say, okay, coming in with so-and-so, but you have to department head. And so it was that title. And then my assistant, which end up doing all the work or organizing and that. But for some reason, the studios start doing that.
Yeah.
Where,
they're starting to do that. They're starting to do all that again.
Are they?
It looks a lot better on their bottom dollar when there's not, things like that.
Yeah.
But
19 personals is pretty bad for your bottom line.
I mean, there's some shows that you've been. Yeah. I mean, let's talk about Oceans. I was lucky enough to work on Oceans.
12.
12.
Yeah.
I'm like, which one was it? Oceans.
Yeah,
12
but we were
with you.
in Rome.
Yes, we were in Rome together. There were a lot of personals on that. Everybody.
Oh. Yeah.
Wasn't first, but what a fun time that was. It was so fun for me to get to work with other hairdressers in a way, like, you know what I mean? Because you're so as a department head and things like that. You work with your team a lot, but you don't get to work with other teams.
Yeah.
But that was really fun because I got to interact with a lot of different hair and makeup people that were at the top of their game, and it was really fun.
Well, and Karyn, you have the personality, I think, kind of like me, where whenever you come in with someone, it's like right away other people think you're something special or you're this or that. So you want to get in with the rest to say, hey, I'm just one of the guys.
I just happen to be doing one person instead of 12.
Yeah. And then you just want to interact with them so they're comfortable. And everyone realizes you're just there for the same job.
I know. Not to keep tooting the horn, but from the moment I met Bonnie, she was gracious to me and kind. And you were, I mean, I was there with an actress, but you were still you, and you were, in my eyes, so far above where I was and stuff like that. And it was just she's so nice. I was like, she talked to me.
And I wonder why people, because I even had the concept so often back then, is like, oh, they're just different, or
you're a little isolated from the rest of the crew. I found when you come in as a personal, people for one don't know your relationship with the actor, so they also don't want to offend anyone because they're not sure where that's going to go. And I've met a lot of people that work in the personal side of things that are almost very diva-ish in some ways.
Yeah.
That want to be separate from the crew. I'm a carny. I grew up wanting to be a part of the crew. So for me, when I walk in, I didn't like the isolation of just working with one. I wanted to be in the big trailer. I wanted to hang out with everyone. I want to sit, you know what I mean? Like, I love that relationship. I mean, I love my relationship with Catherine. I had so much fun, and I would never give up any of that time. But I think that when you walk onto a set, whoever you're with, if it's a Julia Roberts, it's you take on part of they think you take on part of their persona. So they treat you as they would treat her in some ways. And I don't understand that necessarily. But I think that's part of it.
And don't you think too, when some actors want their own makeup trailer, and that starts dividing a little bit.
It isolates.
And because we have so much downtime in that trailer that if it's, during rehearsals or cleanup or whatever at lunchtime, that being in the same trailer just makes everyone more comfortable and down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you get to talk, and you get to commune with your people in the sense
Yeah.
we're all hair and makeup. So when your
Right.
cast isn't there and you're not doing those things, like you said, they're at rehearsal or they're doing something, that's when our time to, so how do you do that? What do you do with this? And how does that affect you here? And I have
Hmm.
this problem. Can you help me? There's so much community that happens in a
Well, and
makeup
there are
trailer when there's
things,
no cast in a makeup trailer.
right, exactly. Well, and there's things like last time we worked together that all of a sudden I needed something. I don't know, but different things.
Well, let's be
And
honest. To
it,
be fair, they called you out of retirement. I plucked you out of retirement and threw you into that. So they were very lucky to have
and
you at
you're up
all.
on, yeah, you're up on the latest products in that because you've been working with,
Yeah,
you
because
know,
I'm in the middle of it all, and it's like, why wouldn't, to share and to
But
help.
Karen, you're different cut too. Whereas I've walked in and it's like playing chess with sharks. You're always one to be like, yeah, what do you need? Do you need which color bobby
yeah,
pin? I have all of them. Which one do you
yeah.
specifically need
What
right
can I
now?
do if you need
I'll
anything?
send somebody to go get it. So that does add to the secret sauce of what makes a great production a great production. Bonnie, when I was looking through your IMDb, I see two really big shows for the artists of the business. Number one was Ocean's 12, just because of the amount of specialty cast that were there and all the things that you were doing. But more importantly, the Santa Claus
Oh,
and the Tim Allens
Tim.
of it.
Hmm.
This is a mythical show like Pirates of the Caribbean where they brought in 25 to 50 makeup artists and hairstylists to round out all of the,
I
all
think
of
my
the
nephew was
Everyone.
Elf on that.
yes,
Really?
and it took a large cast of hair and makeup to staff that. When you get on something that's that big, were you in the thick of it, or because you were working on Tim Allen and doing those things, were your days were full and whatnot? How was that
Yeah,
experience for you?
yeah. They were full, and then of course Tim played several different parts, so I had different wigs for him. But then, of course, the Santa Claus thing. Then he was in prosthetics in the morning for hours, and all of that. But it was we fortunately we didn't have to do back and forth
Hmm.
that much. But then he, had a double. So there's some things when he played just himself, but still wore wigs because of the different time periods of his life. Uh, then, of course, I had to deal with those. But I mean, it was a huge, huge production. And Tim, though, it was just, I mean, he and his wife are like two of my best friends to this day. We
Oh,
even
amazing.
see each other. They have a place up in Michigan, and I've gone up there in the summer to see them. And so we keep in touch a lot.
A lot of you have stayed in touch with a lot of the
Yeah.
actors you've worked with, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you have long-standing relationships with so many of these people. That it says something about your character and your personality as well, right? I mean, it's amazing to me that you got a text from Julia Roberts this morning. You know what I mean? It's like, and I know that it's because so many people, when you stop doing their hair, they move on and you're not really a part of their life anymore. But you have stayed a part of a lot of their lives.
Well, I think too, I love to cook, and Julia loves to cook, and Hilary Swank, and I mean, and Kristen Stewart, loves to cook. So it just seemed like all the locations we would cook together on weekends, or we'd say, well, we're getting done early tonight. Where should we go eat? Oh, let's just go to the store and pick up this or that. And
Mm-hmm.
and it was like the first time I worked with Julia. I mean, literally makeup and hair tests. Somehow or another, she mentioned sausage biscuits and gravy, and I said, well, I make a pretty damn good sausage biscuits and gravy. She said, oh, I love them. So the first time we could all be together, I made them. And then it became a thing. No matter where we go on location, the driver would buy all the groceries and liquor or
Yeah.
whatever, and then buy all the stuff. And even on Ocean's 11, all the actors had their villas at the
Yeah.
Bellagio, and all of a sudden, Julia said, "What should we eat tonight?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know." And she said, "We've got that stuff to make sausage biscuits and gravy." This was like a Sunday about 5 o'clock. And I said, "For dinner?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, we got to cut it with something." So we would order a big tray of fruit from,
I
Tate.
love the fact.
So,
You gotta
so
cut
all
it.
of a sudden, smelling this, someone knocked, when I think it was Matt Damon, knocked on the door and said, "I smell something down the hall." And before you knew it, it was Brad Pitt and Damon and Don Cheadle. And here we're all at the big formal dining room table in the villa eating sausage biscuits and gravy.
So I guess you do throw down a good sausage
Yeah.
biscuit and gravy. Do you still make
So-
sausage biscuit and gravy?
Oh yeah. In
Nice.
fact, in my book that Jason wrote, my son, is the recipe and talks about the story of sausage biscuits and gravy.
Let's talk about your book a little bit. This is
Okay.
a very exciting thing. I
Yes,
love the
this is
fact that
super
you've done
exciting.
it. What?
I got it
I'll let you
today.
tell us about it.
Okay, it's I'll show you. Can you see?
It's so big. Oh my God, it's beautiful.
Wow.
Now towards the phone. Shift it towards the phone.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the camera we're seeing out of.
Okay,
Wow.
Oh, that's amazing. It's so beautiful.
it's called Continuity by Bonnie Clevering.
That's so
Beyond the
good.
credits, and then here's the back,
Oh, it's
that's
beautiful.
gorgeous.
and it's 492 pages, and there's 62,000 words, and there's over 700 images. And
So is all continuity photos? Oh, wow. It
Wow.
is.
That's spectacular.
so these are my own photos. So
Yeah.
I own them.
How it came about. Tell us how it came about.
Well, when Jason lived in Barcelona, Spain for like 7 years, and I was my son Jason, and I was filming in London with Kristen Stewart, and he had said to me, "Mom, a few times you've mentioned about writing a book, but he said, why don't we talk about it?" So he stayed with me for a few weeks in London, and when I'd get up and go to work at 5 a.m, he got up and he'd just start writing, because I had no idea exactly what was going to be. And so each evening I'd come home, pour a glass of wine, and then we'd talk. And then sometimes, now that I look back, I even cried sometimes, different memories and that.
Right.
And so he worked on it for a while and then just kind of stopped. So years went by and didn't really do much about it. Well, after my husband passed away and I stayed in LA for a while, my daughter lived in Austin, Texas. And I was at a point, it didn't matter where I lived. So I moved to
Yes.
Texas.
She moved to Austin.
And so then I just worked out of Texas. But Jason then had moved back to the States. So he talked about getting back on the book. Well, then a year and a half ago, he was living in Austin and he just started writing again. And then we'd talk about it, he'd write, and then we hired a graphic artist, and I have a publicist now. We got a whole team. And so today we picked up the first book.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's incredible. And it's like a story of the chair and, everything that you and I, or the three of us do behind the chair in a makeup trailer.
I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, you're going to be so excited when you get it.
I can't wait. I am. Yes, definitely. I can't wait. And it is. I can't wait to look at the pictures. I love looking at set pictures and things like that because it does draw memories. It does.
Oh yeah. yeah.
You know,
And your
when you
own memories, even though they're not your
Absolutely.
pictures.
It
Yeah.
does it because it's instances and things that you've done together. It is to be emotional when you talk about things that you've done and the work that you've done. It's because it brings back the people into your life and the feelings you had then. And you know, it's got to be so amazing to be able to sit there and look at that though and know that you've accomplished that book. It is
Yeah.
beautiful.
And there's a whole thing on pies because when I was with Hillary Swank in Louisiana, she said, I want you to stay in the guest house because I'm staying in the big house. And then I want you to teach me how to make every pie and every pie crust while we're here this 3 months. So
You did
we
right.
made every pie. And
What
then
mov-
we had the happening. And
Okay.
then we had a lady come in to teach us how to quilt. And so on Sundays, we had
Quilting and pies.
teaching how to quilt. I hardly remember anything about the film except the
You heard it
pies.
first. This is what hair and makeup does on their days off. We make pies, we quilt. Everyone thinks it's a big giant party. Champagne. It's not. It's pies, biscuits, and gravy.
If there's not biscuits and gravy, I don't want to go to that party. That's all I'm gonna say.
I love biscuits and gravy. Is it a milk gravy that you make? Is it a white gravy?
Yeah, it's very,
I love that.
just frying it and then making,
Yeah.
milk gravy on the side.
I love
And then
that.
whatever biscuits you want,
Yeah.
but it has to be kind of not a soft biscuit, something
You gotta be able to hold the
crunchier.
structure. You gotta be
Gotta
able to
have a
hold the gravy.
substantial biscuit.
And of course, in the book, because we have an intellectual property attorney, so
Yeah.
we call every so often, can we do this? Can we do that? We're not, and so like in the recipe, I couldn't put the name. I just put
Right.
pork sausage,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah, you can't put
biscuits
the
and
brands
milk
and
and
stuff.
yeah.
It rhymes with Schmob Evans.
So when
You
you
got
look back at this book and this body of work, is there a moment? I like to ask people, it's like, what was the moment that you realized in this time period that you would this is your life. These are the people you hang out with. This is the career that you have. Not that you're special, but it's like that. What's that moment where you're like, I make movies? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and it's you want to pinch yourself and think,
yeah, it's like, when was the first
Yeah.
oh, this is amazing pinch? Do you think?
I think at the beginning it was probably working with Elvis. I think
That's
that
a
was
huge thing.
Speedway.
yeah, Speedway, and I think then personally, as far as entertaining
Yeah.
or that, when Nancy Sinatra gave Priscilla Presley a baby shower and invited me
Oh.
up
Yeah.
at Nancy's house, and the thing is, I had an infertility problem and couldn't get pregnant, and so halfway through the shower, had no idea, but Nancy had me and Priscilla stand up, and it's an old Italian wives' tale that you rub both your hands on the pregnant woman's stomach, and it's supposed to bring you luck.
Yeah. She had you do that.
That was the month I got pregnant.
Oh.
A couple of weeks later.
Nancy Sinatra.
Yeah,
And that's why your daughter's name is Nancy? No, I'm just joking.
yeah. No, her middle name.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. I mean, but there are some moments like that where you're like, oh my God, I have to pinch myself.
Yeah.
I mean, there was times, one of my times is when we were on Ocean's 12 sitting in the square around the Pantheon building, and you're like, I don't even understand how I'm sitting here right now with all of these people, and this is just amazing that I get to do this for a living.
I know.
And
Yeah.
it's just, I mean,
It-
making biscuits and gravy for the cast of Ocean's 11, and those guys are just so much fun
Oh,
in
yeah.
general.
Yeah, you
So-
know that. You've been around them.
But it's
Yeah.
just, what fun stories. And are
Oh,
the
yeah.
stories like that in the book? Do you talk about
Yeah,
those
some
times?
of yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get my hands on it.
Yeah.
But what what do you think is the greatest like lesson you've taken away from our industry? Like just being around these people and like the lesson that you learned about,
I think,
like, what is your greatest lesson that you've learned? What has the industry taught you?
well, I think more than anything, probably just these actors are just down to earth. They're people. Because the outside people think, oh my God, you worked with so and so, or you worked with so and so. I'm sure you both get all the time. Two is they're just and to learn that they're just people.
With emotions and happies and
The
lows
ups and downs and deaths and illnesses and
marriages and divorces and births
right.
and deaths and
I mean, it is something that you don't want to break the illusion necessarily of that, because you want them to only think of them in the parts that they're in. But it is true that we as hair and makeup and costumes, I think as well, get to see these guys at their most human, at their most natural, because they have to put it all out on the table so that we can, I don't want to say fix it, but change it. Do you know what I mean? Like you have to put everything, you have to give everything away so that we can be a part of the storytelling with you. Kind of, they allow themselves to be seen in their most vulnerable with us, I think, as hair and makeup.
Bonnie, what's a lesson that you wish you would have learned sooner? It's a deep question, I know. Take your time.
Yeah. No, I'm just, I think, especially at the beginning, it's just that they're human too. And they're, they put their clothes on the same way we do. They do everything the same. Is just know that, hey, they're human. They've got good days and bad days too. And then I think we all learn with each actor, especially each director, when to go in, when not to go in, when to keep our mouths shut, and it's just more than doing the hair and the makeup. It's really dealing with people, not only the actors, but the crew. It could be the costume designer that just wants to tell you how to do the hair.
Oh.
Well, both Karyn and I took
a hat. No, they don't. I know.
Both Karyn and I took a turn with Oliver Stone later, much after you did.
I did W with him.
Yeah. So I was a little fish on W as well, but you also learned when he liked to do things and when he didn't like to do things, or where he liked to go.
Yeah.
You do learn people's the little things that help move everybody through the day. You learn to read the room. I think there's people I think are born a little bit with that. Like, you have to know when you're like, okay, I'm just going to stand here and let this happen, or now I get to interject a little bit. Learning to read the room, I think, is a really important thing also.
Oh, that's, excellent. Yeah, that's perfect.
I mean, that's basically what you're, when you're saying, like, be quiet, step up, know when to put the hand on the shoulder and just be like, I'm here. I don't need to say anything to you. I always used to do that with an actress, is like, you could tell when she was tensing because she would kind of like, you could see her body go like this. Yeah. And we used to just walk up and just very lightly put our hand on the lower part of her back. And she would just stand up and knew that we were there, that she wasn't on her own in front of all these people. She was never by herself. You know what I mean? And I think as people that were personals or any hair and makeup artists can do this with an actor, I know that Jack has taken extra time doing a touch-up because sometimes the actress needs just a minute.
Yeah, an extra minute.
Just to give me that extra second to pull myself together to do what I have to do.
I'll step in front of the camera and take that heat just to give him a rest. And I'm like, I'm doing this for you. Take your time.
Just good. I think that, but I think I was lucky enough to work with people such as yourself, to see you because I worked with you with two different actresses. One was Julia Roberts and one was Jennifer Aniston. To see how you worked with them and how you presented yourself with them and the caretaking and also allowing them to be human and be themselves, it was always great for me to have that strong influence. because I was kind of thrown into being a person. I had no idea what I was doing. I just walked in one day, just like you. It was like somebody picked up the phone and I happened to be the one that answered. You know what I mean? It was like you just got into that position. But there is a nurturing side, I think, that comes.
And they feel
you
it.
have it. I think
Yeah.
I probably have it.
Oh, yes, you do.
That you can calm your actor when you need to, your actress, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that in a patronizing way or anything like that, that we're all powerful.
No, I know you're not.
You know, and it is, at the end of the day, though, you have to step back and be like, I was a part of that. I was a part of those character decisions. I was helping her get through those films. I was there for a reason, but I wasn't part of it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you have
Absolutely.
a huge legacy in this industry, which you should be very proud of.
Well, you do too.
I don't have 400.
Well, you still
pages
got
to
some
fill.
time there. You've
don't.
got a little more time than I do now.
Not much, but you know, I'm hoping for some more. I
mean,
think
600 pages, that is
600.
a
Is that
feat.
what you said?
492 pages
492. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
and 62,000 words.
I can't wait
62,000 words. That's
to hear the words that.
And anyone that asks about it, they can just go to
Well, I'm gonna have.
continuity by bonnieclevering.com.
Okay. Well, we're going to get all that information. I'm going to also put some links up and stuff when we go through all that. Is the words written from the voice of you or from the voice of your son? Is your words?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Does it have his perspective on things in there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
what was that like for him to watch his mother do all these amazing things and then to sit down and write about it? Did he?
He
Is
says
he a
like.
writer? Is this something that's on you? I mean,
Yeah, he went to USC Film School,
Okay.
and he's written a few scripts,
Okay.
and he just has that knowledge.
Yeah.
And,
Writer. Okay.
Yeah, and so it was easy. So it's kind of both ways, but he puts at the beginning almost like how he watched me grow up more than me watching him grow up. But
Yeah.
then
You
his
had to want to
words.
change from being I don't want to. I hate to use the word just a mom,
Yeah,
to somebody
yeah.
who's traveling the world, working on
Well, and then
films,
after losing my husband at 55 years old,
working on your
because
own.
we were only married like 27 years, and then him watching
Right.
me, because that's shortly after that. That's when my career really kind of exploded, and then and plus financially,
You're now the
had
head
to,
of household.
yeah, and I had to work towards a retirement. I mean, there's times I didn't go out with the crew on weekends and that because I had a goal of X amount of dollars had to go in the bank
Mm-hmm.
all the time. And when I bought my house in Austin, I promised myself to put $1,000 a month towards the principal,
Yeah.
and that in 5 years I could get the house paid off. And I mean, I skipped and scraped, and there's things I didn't do, and that because I was determined. And I was working with Kristen up in Canada, and I went to the director, and I said, you know, my mom and dad used to call burning the, remember burning the,
Midnight Oil?
no, when you burn the loan, the mortgage.
Oh, when you have to burn a deed, when you you
Yeah.
used to
Yeah.
burn the
And I
house
said
when it was
to
yours.
Jonathan,
Yeah.
I said, I don't know, but I said, on my birthday, March 31st, I'm going to be able to pay the house off. That day, I was working on March 31st. I came to set, and the director had the art department make this huge sign, mortgage paid, and they gave me these long matches to burn.
That's so fun. You know, I mean, you also have to remember what in the time and place that you're doing all of these things too. It was a time when women weren't as head of households as much, and you were not only dealing with the grief, you had to then figure out how to make your life complete again in a certain way. You had to
Right.
financially take care of yourself which is a hard lesson. I hate it. I want someone else to do it.
I know.
But I mean,
It's a job.
I mean, can I ask you what age you were then, or you don't? If you don't want to say, you don't have.
When he passed away,
Yeah.
55.
No, how old were you?
55.
So
I was
you
only a
basically your career took off after that.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say it really.
You were doing
really
a lot
did.
of stuff beforehand, but you like really
Yeah,
hit it hard.
but
after
really,
that.
yeah, the big stuff, the big directors and actors, and it just, God had his way because it just fell right in, right one after another.
So
And-
much stuff in such a compact
I
amount
know.
of time.
Well, but wait a minute. I'm going back here.
I mean,
and
she worked, but I understand what she's saying. Her time.
I definitely understand what
changed.
she's saying. You have Captain Ron on here. This is
I love Captain Ron,
Kurt
by the way.
Russell movie
Yeah.
where that wig was spectacular, and you got to work with Dennis Lydiard to boot. So that
Oh
means-
yeah, I love Dennis. Yeah. And there again, my cooking. We had the
I need to learn how to bake. So
Basically,
I'm coming to
that's-
Indiana. I'm coming to Indiana. We're gonna make some pies and some biscuits and gravy because Karyn needs some work. And if I gotta start cooking, I'm gonna cook.
She's gonna make a cookbook out of it. It's
We
gonna
had the
be
worst
Beverly's cooking.
cater.
Oh, that's
The worst cater. And so they even gave us after 2 weeks per diem back or toward lunch.
yeah.
And so I love to cook, and so a couple of times I brought some food in. So when we'd be out on this big barge in the middle of the ocean, they had a yacht for the actors.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up making food. And so they would, 20 minutes before they broke for lunch, they said, bring the boat over for Bonnie. And I get on this little boat. They take me to the yacht. And then when the two boys came, I had all their lunch ready for them.
That's amazing. Spectacular.
Or they'd give me like $100 to go and buy ribs at this great rib place the night before. And then I'd
Right.
refrigerate it and bring
She's
it to
like, we're
work.
gonna feed these people.
I had food bags more than I had set bags.
That's one way to do it.
That
That's
is
one way
so
to do it.
good, though. See, those are the stories that people never know. They don't ever hear about the
No.
time you're stuck on a barge carrying lunch for everybody.
No, because it's either that or you're eating like yucca and plantains and things where you're like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna yucca anything. If I yucca anymore, it's just
Or else
I
I'm
worked
going
on
to
a
yuck
show
it up.
when catering was so bad that it got to the point that the whole crew just ate Jell-O.
Really?
That was the only dish that they made. Was they made
That-
Jell-O every day that you didn't feel like you were going to get sick if you ate it. So the whole lunch line would be no food, and then the Jell-O would be gone because that's what everybody ate was Jell-O. They finally had to fix some things and replace some people. But yeah, I ate Jell-O for lunch every day because I was like, this is the only thing I'm not afraid of.
the collagen is just so good for you.
I don't know what else to do here. We got to eat some Jell-O. It's
And
so
everyone would run to the table, right? And
Yeah.
the Jell-O, I bet, was gone in 5
Gone.
minutes.
Yeah, there was lots of food left over, and the Jell-O was all gone. And you're just, and then that's when you start seeing all the individual barbecues showing up at the end of the trucks,
Oh, yeah.
and the Teamsters are making stuff
You
on
know
the
when the
grill.
Teamsters have been smoking something for 19 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Not only is that going to be delicious, but catering is god awful.
deep frying the turkeys
Sure.
Yeah.
and the Teamsters.
And that you know when the Teamsters are cooking that the catering sucks. Because I mean, I've been on a lot of shows where the cater, you're like, I'm just going to eat with the Teamsters today.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you very much. Bonnie, this has been so much fun. We have a
Oh.
couple of fun questions for you.
Okay.
Yes. Hard hitting questions.
They're not-
No,
Don't
they're
be
not.
afraid.
Don't worry about it. So you
There are a
had
lot of them are
spoken.
food related. So
Yeah, so you're going to do just fine with this. So you had, at the beginning of your career, there was no crafty. You came back after having your babies, and all of a sudden there was crafty. What's your favorite crafty snack?
your go-to crafty snack. You've been there all day.
Oh, yeah. I think when they would bring like little sandwiches,
What
like
a hot
egg salad or tuna
Yeah.
or
Oh, no.
like little sandwiches.
Little like squares of
And
little
then-
sandwich squares.
Yeah, and then
Uh-huh.
I'd always have to have Coca-Cola. That I'm not a never been much of a coffee drinker. I do like tea, but for my energy, I have to have a regular Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola and some egg salad sandwich. You would love
Yeah.
Reva. She does craft service now. Not my sister, but another lady who
Savannah.
what that is.
Yeah.
Her midday snack is a wagon full of sandwiches. She brings them up with all the
Oh.
wrapping
She
and
wheels.
yeah.
She literally wheels
Wheels
a
a
children's
big
wagon
wagon
out.
Oh,
bites
You
into
would have
the
thought it
sandwiches.
was a plague of locusts just descending on this. It's
But everyone loves Reva sandwiches. They do. They love her.
oh,
sandwiches.
that sounds great. I'd like Rita.
Yes. How do you start your day? What is your breakfast order from the catering? Like when you're working in the trailer and you're going to get breakfast, what do you get?
I'm not a big egg person, never have been. And just because of blood sugar that I don't eat pancakes or syrup. So usually anything Mexican, burrito, yeah,
Burritos,
Tacos,
breakfast
any-
tacos. Yeah.
yeah.
we
And
never
brown
stood a
potatoes.
chance they were going to get us with the tacos. It's just the most delicious thing coming up.
I
the
love a
catering
breakfast
truck.
taco. When you find a caterer that'll make you a breakfast taco or huevos.
Not an
frijoles.
egg taco, ladies and gentlemen, but
breakfast.
like a
No.
traditional taco just served for breakfast.
Yes.
So good.
Did you ever have a Fred Gabriella Gala catering?
Yeah.
I've
Gala
had
catering.
Texas?
Gala, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
I think so.
Well, he was just not just starting, but he'd been into it a little bit when I moved to Dallas. So he was my first experience of a
Oh.
caterer,
Yeah.
and they couldn't get the Caesar salad just right. And I was always known for, so I'd go
You know,
make
Yes, you
Caesar salad.
let her
and
tell
bread.
the story, Karyn. Let her tell the story.
So I would make the crew the Caesar salad dressing and then run back to the set. and it ended up where he catered Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
yeah.
And so every
With
day
the
Brad
anchovies.
would end up getting whatever he was serving,
Yeah.
but I would bring from home. It was either the Caesar salad or either the just like a arugula lemon
Yeah.
and Parmesan. And so, or sausage biscuits and gravy. So I was feeding Brad and Mr. Mrs. Smith.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Okay, now I know what I've missed this whole time. I wasn't serving
Yeah.
food.
You
I
weren't.
do
you
a
weren't
great coffee bar.
She has a great coffee bar. That
Oh,
coffee
okay.
bar, she was an early adopter of Nespresso pods, and now
Yes.
that's an
Oh,
industry standard.
I am a coffee bar girl. I have all your milks. I have all your stuff.
She'll
Whatever
have
you need
all
in
the
the
nut
morning.
pods or the nut milk or the soy, whatever.
wow.
I'll make you a
Oh.
nice cup of coffee in the morning to get your day started. But now
Okay,
I know I
lots
need to
of-
do biscuits and gravy and sausage.
Okay. Let me know when you're filming next.
I will. I'm expecting some biscuits and gravy to show up.
When
Well,
you were
it's
eating lunch
Brad-
on set, would you eat lunch? Would you sleep? Or would you hang out with the crew?
Oh, I'd eat. I'd eat. Sometimes with the crew, sometimes back in the trailer. Because if you want to eat fast, get that little, not nap, but lights off.
See, that's me. I'm
Yeah.
I'm an eat fast and nap girl.
She'll take
Yeah.
3 minutes to eat so she can have a 27
Little
minute
rest.
nap. I'm okay with it.
You
I-
got
look,
it. You turn off the lights, you meditate for 10 minutes, and then you wake back up and you don't want to kill people anymore. I think
That's-
it's a
Right.
win-win for everybody.
I think it was necessary, and it still is necessary.
Saved a lot of people. It has been a very good
yeah,
thing for
there's
a
a few
lot
I
of
would
people.
have. Yeah, I gotcha.
Bonnie, you've worked for quite a few people and quite a few productions over the years. What was your favorite rap gift that you've been given?
She gonna show it to us? Oh, the other way.
Oh,
Wait.
yeah.
Oh.
Beautiful. Yeah, for
That-
everybody at home, there's a lovely bracelet.
Yeah, this is, I don't know if you're familiar with the designer Damiani,
Uh-huh.
Oh,
and these are 3 rotating diamonds, and Brad Pitt gave it to me.
I mean, how do you say no to that?
I shudder to think what you would think the worst rap gift you got.
A golf towel.
Have you received
And
any
Hillary
lovely
Swank
coffee
always-
mugs?
She'd always give me a designer purse.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was that.
That was a good time in
Julia
Hollywood.
gave me. I had it on the other day. It's so old, but it's a black cashmere shawl
Yeah.
from Barney's, and
Yeah.
I still have it. It's
Yeah.
ancient.
I have one of
Yeah.
those I got, and
Yeah,
it's so
no,
fun.
it's a great gift.
Notice that most of those gifts came from cast and not from production.
Yeah, I was like, I want to be you when I grow up because
Me too.
it would be like
You
to
know.
have a cashmere shrug as my worst gift. That's
No.
pretty great.
This is hard because I don't know like how long we've all been jamming out to music in the trailer, but what do you think is your favorite jock jam? And by jock jam, I mean the song that you play to bump everybody up in the trailer, to just kind of get that mood just
Like,
right in
we
the
gotta
trailer,
get going
and
through the
having
day
fun
today.
and everything else. Do you have a song that is like your go-to
Oh,
let's get happy song?
well, I'm an Al Green
Okay.
fan.
Sure.
Yeah, I like Al. Let's get it on. That's my my ring on my telephone.
Is your-
Let's get it on.
Let's get it says so much about you, Bonnie.
I mean,
And I tell you, the what was the other song? The Al Green song, and I'm a huge Johnny Mathis fan.
Okay.
Gigantic. I've seen him. You name it. I've seen him. No matter where I am, Miami
Yeah.
Beach or whatever. And I'm working with Zoe Deschanel and Mark Wahlberg in Philadelphia, and she's reading the paper, and I'm blow drying her
Yeah.
hair,
I'm
and I said, "Oh my gosh, Johnny Mathis is coming in like 2 weeks, and he's opening up with the Philadelphia
Philharmonic.
Symphony, yeah,
Oh yeah.
symphony on their opening." She says, "We want to go," and I said, "Well, of course, but you want to go?" Here she's so
She
young.
loves music though.
Yes, and so it ended up. She got us her manager. Someone got us tickets. We went to dinner. And about halfway through, Johnny Mathis starts singing, and she holds my hand and had tears. And about a half hour later, I did the same thing.
Aw.
So when we left, that's when you could buy all the
Yeah.
CDs.
Yeah.
So she bought all of Johnny's CDs. The next Monday, so Monday, the next day, we go to work. And we got Johnny going on in the trailer, which we're the only two.
Of
that
course,
find
Alice was
it.
like, "What?"
And Mark walks in and he says, "You know how you do on a Monday? What'd
Yeah.
you do this weekend? What'd
Yeah.
you do?" And so Mark asked Zoe, and Zoe said, "Oh, Bonnie and I went to see Johnny Mathis." And he said, "What?" He's like, "What the hell are you girls thinking?" And,
Like, well, we weren't
and-
making quilts.
no. And so that for like a week, that's all the trailer heard was Johnny.
I love that. I love that so much.
Spectacular.
And I can completely and totally see Zoe doing that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, she's fun.
Yeah, and I've seen her in person. She and him,
Yeah.
her group, they were in Austin
I would love
when
to
I
see
was
her
living there.
perform.
Yeah.
We saw her do karaoke, but that's about it.
Yeah, her ukulele's put my ukulele to shame for sure.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
He's not too bad though. He's not too bad.
Oh, okay.
I'm nowhere in,
No, you're
in
not.
any
You're not into
realm
the.
of the.
No.
There's
no,
no
we know
over.
that.
There's no Venn diagram in
No, you guys are not the same.
play styles.
You know what, Bonnie? I would love for you one more time, just to give us the information on your book. Just kind of
Okay.
like put it out there, say, how we get it, how you want to get it. And then is it going to be
Okay.
available on Amazon or only through your website?
Eventually, it is going to be on Amazon. But right now,
Wow.
if they go to Continuity by BonnieClevering.com,
Okay,
then it'll pop up and then show how to order.
perfect.
And we've sold out now, but they get the book probably in January.
And
You
how much is
heard
that
it here,
book?
folks. It's so good it is already sold
Not
out, and
once.
it's going to come back around again.
How much is the
Yeah.
book? How much is the book?
$99.
What an amazing
Amazing.
gift for a hairdresser or even
Oh.
anyone in the industry in your life. This it's history in the making.
Well,
Yeah.
and for those watching at home, you've seen it. It's literally
Beautiful.
the size of Miss Bonnie's lap. It is not a small book. It is.
Oh, I don't know. My lap's a lot bigger.
No. Take the compliment. Take the compliment. Bonnie, this has been so much fun, and I have enjoyed
We'll
talking
do it
to you
again.
so
Yes, please.
much.
Actually, we'd like to get you and Miss Judy back on and do
Probably Johnny. We want to get a bunch of
we
people.
want to do a round table, either a ladies round
that'd be
table
great.
or
Maybe
So-
all the hairdressers, and we can all just talk some shop, and Jack can just sit there and smile.
You know what? I'll be the moderator.
I would love to talk to you about.
I'll just moderate.
Have some fun.
Yeah, Jack can be the moderator. Yeah, there we go.
But thank you again for taking the time on this cold winter afternoon.
This was fun.
And
Yeah,
but
and
Jack,
send me John Caglione's
I will.
information.
I
Yes,
will. 'Cause,
Yeah.
You know, it was so much fun. I had never met him before, and what a charming man.
Oh, he is.
And he
is.
this. Oh my God! Talk about a career.
So if
he's
you're
still
wondering where
working.
you can listen to the John Caglione webcast, it is the No NDB Podcast, Tales from the Trailer. And you can hear that on Spotify and wherever you get your podcasts.
Jack has the voice of a radio man, doesn't he?
Jack, you do. You missed your real calling.
I don't know. You
We're doing it
started
now.
at 55. I think I got some time
He's
here.
got time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're young.
Yeah.
He is. He's younger than I am.
Bonnie, thank you so much for coming
you're
on
welcome,
today.
both of you. Love you both, and thank you.
You've been listening to the No NDB Podcast, Tales from the Trailer with Jack Lazzaro and Karyn Alexander.
Thank you guys for everything.
Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed the conversation.
I
because
did. Well, you heard how quiet I was. I was just in awe. I was gabsmacked by
Who knew?
the power of biscuits
Cooking.
and gravy.
I love it so much. It is so Bonnie. It is so Bonnie.
Well,
It is
and
just so
it's
Bonnie.
just, you hear from different actors and actresses about, have you ever met Bonnie Clevering? She texted me today and it was just the most well thought out message. I mean, even though we worked together,
Yeah.
we didn't really have a lot of overlap. I mean, all of my characters on Dumpling did not have any scenes with Jennifer Aniston. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
That's true.
but-
That's true. That's true. I mean, it was so much fun. We have, I know we're going to have her back again. It's very exciting about her book, Continuity. I am so looking forward to getting it. I know that there's going to be some treasures in there. I am really looking
And
forward to
from the past hour that we had talking with her, I know that there's going to be stories that only Bonnie Clevering had happened to her. That's
that. Oh, I mean, Ocean's 11. Let's feed everybody sausage, biscuits, and gravy.
in the villas at the Bellagio.
The Bellagio.
I didn't even get to ask her what her least favorite filming location was. Like,
I don't think I can't imagine.
I don't
even
think
had
there's
one.
a bad one.
I don't think she ever had a bad time.
Well, because if you could be like, I didn't like Puerto Rico, I didn't like the food. No, she just made her own, and
She
then
just made her
everybody
own.
would just eat that. And so there you go. That's consistently. It's only a bad time if you allow it to be a bad time.
I love the fact that she packed her lunch for her first day back at work in Dallas. I love that so much. So I really hope everybody else enjoyed the conversation, and I can't wait to bring you some more stories.
Yes. But she will be back again on the No NDB Podcast, Tales from the Trailer. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Have a great day.